This betting strategy is something very different, or this trading strategy, I should say, is very different to all the other ones we've got on this channel. All the rest of the strategies we've done have been in game during the match trading strategies. We've had a few where we've done random specials and managers markets and everything like that, but this one is very different to that. It still involves the games, but isn't around the actual match itself. It's a bit complex, but it's actually really simple. I can't see this video being too long of a video at all. It's very simple, very easy, and it's hopefully going to get you some nice profit. So if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button and the like button itself. I'm not advanced when it comes to Betfair trading strategies. If you want to follow any of the strategies I show you, then please do further reading on them. I do everything with small stakes because I lose a lot of money because I'm that bad, but hopefully I can still help you learn a little bit, help you on your journey as a Betfair trader, and then hopefully you'll be able to go and polish off your knowledge with someone who knows what they're talking about. But if you are new, please do subscribe, hit the like button, and let's get into it. So what I'm talking about here today then is pre-match trading. Now, pre-match trading basically revolves around team news. There's not much else about it. It's team news. Team news, maybe some injuries, but again, it's all just focused around that team news. There is a lot more leaks these days with team news. There is a lot more press, a lot more publicity. It's harder to trade now. Like the majority of things we see these days, from when I've been looking up the strategies, it is harder than what it was years ago, similarly with everything else. But there are still opportunities out there for you to get some profit. Of course there are. And this is the perfect time to get that profit as well. We're currently approaching a really busy December period of football. We have the FA Cup coming up in January as well. It is the perfect opportunity to use this strategy if you can. Now, the way to use this strategy is to keep an eye on the news a little bit. I haven't got any examples of this strategy. I've got one small example that isn't too great because recently, the past few days, there hasn't been any opportunities to use this trade. And I'd probably say most days there won't be. But in the scenario where you see something, maybe on the news or on Twitter, you might be able to go and get there before the market reacts. And if you do, I like to be able to show you what you're looking out for or what you should be looking out for. So for example, the other day we had Jurgen Klopp suggesting that he's going to make some changes for the AC Milan game that happened a few weeks back. It was fairly obvious that that was going to happen because Liverpool were already through. The last game didn't mean too much and it's a busy schedule. And we all know Jurgen Klopp likes to rotate quite heavily. Now, if I show you this graph here, you can see what happened. So although it's very slight and not much had happened, this is the run-up to the game. This is pretty much just before kickoff. You can see that AC Milan's odds had dropped for quite a big period over time. You can see the big drops that happened, and you can understand that they were arguably around the time when this got leaked to either the press or to anyone who had any inside knowledge that Jurgen Klopp was going to rotate. But you can tell by the fact that AC Milan even started at 2.50 odds that the market, from even just opening up, was just expecting Jurgen Klopp to rotate a little bit and for it not to be as much of a walkover as what people would expect. A full strength Liverpool over a full strength AC Milan, Liverpool come out the clear winners every time. But here you can see that the odds did drop quite a bit. I mean, from 2.5 at opening down to just above 2, even trading at 2.06 there. If you got in right as the market opened, by then Liverpool had already qualified for the knockouts. You could have definitely anticipated the market dropping down towards AC Milan's favour, and you could have got yourself some profit there. It is a bit more of a longer term strategy. This could possibly be weeks in advance, months in advance even. If you, for example, wanted to start trading the FA Cup third round now, you possibly could, and we'll get into that in just a second. But you can see there was several opportunities to just make a small tick or two of profit from the team news around Liverpool. Some other team news I have here are from the Leicester versus Aston Villa game. You can see how Leicester's odds went up quite drastically throughout the day and throughout the days before the game. But you can see right here at the end, if I can really just focus in on this, it's not much, and it won't be much anymore these days because the market just doesn't do this as often anymore. Like I said at the start, it doesn't happen as often. But you will still be able to get a few little ticks here and there. So for example, we have around about here is when the lineup got announced. Vardy was dropped. Arguably not that big of a change for Leicester anymore. They have some decent striking options around, but it is still a fairly substantial change. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't make that much of a difference to Leicester anymore, but in terms of the market, it obviously does as well make a huge difference. So you can see there was a slight jump as the lineups came out for Leicester to no longer be as favourite as they were. And that is purely just from Jamie Vardy, I'm guessing, being on the subs bench. So it's not a big jump at all. It's from about, what would you say that is, 3.4 up to about 3.6. So it's a few ticks in there. You might be able to get yourself a little bit of profit, but it's nothing drastic. But that's all this is going to be. This is going to be small amounts of profit, but not really too much risk about it because it's all pre-match and you're never going to see a huge swing in the opposite direction. Or if there is, then you've probably done something a little bit wrong, or the lineups have really gone against you. So for example, in this game, if you're anticipating Vardy to get dropped, you can understand that. He's been dropped a few times, arrested a few times this season. You could have gone in with this with good conscience that it would have probably, Leicester's odds would have gone up as the lineups got announced. But then let's say Villa's keepers are all out injured and they've got like their fourth choice keeper in, that will go against you. But I think something like that, you're never going to get that big of a shock. It is purely just going to be who's getting rested and who might not make the match. Now the reason this is a good opportunity to get them trades in is because, for example, tonight, I know this isn't tonight when you're seeing this video, it was a few weeks ago, and actually I should also say, if you are seeing this video as it gets released, I do hope you have a very nice Christmas, because I know it is coming tomorrow, and I know I'm recording this way in advance for obvious reasons because it's going to be Christmas soon, but I just want to say I hope you have a very nice Christmas, and I hope you spend it with your family or whoever you have around you, and I hope you have a very nice time. But this festive period is exactly when this is the perfect opportunity to use this strategy, because let's use tonight for example. You have Chelsea versus Zenit. I believe Chelsea have already qualified from their group, and can we have a look at this over here? We can. You can see that Chelsea, where on earth are they? They're down here at the bottom. They have definitely already qualified from Zenit. And Zenit are probably going to go into this with a full strength lineup still, because it's Zenit versus Chelsea, and they want to try and beat Chelsea. Chelsea, on the other hand, will rotate massively for this game. You can probably understand why. Now, I say that as I have a bet on for Chelsea to win this game already. You'll see that in a few weeks, I'm guessing, on another video. But I still think Chelsea will go in here as the favourites. But I think when the lineup comes out, I think potentially Chelsea's odds might go up to maybe 1.65, 1.7. And if you can get in at them odds, maybe stick £10 on now, get out at maybe let's just say 6.5 they get. Apparently we can't do that there, but because of some reason, I'm not too sure. My brain's not all quite there at the moment. But getting in and then getting out as Chelsea announce their lineup could be a good way. But obviously if Chelsea come up with a really strong lineup, you're probably going to have a little bit of a drop and make a tiny bit of a loss on that one as well. But I think the key aspect here where we can make some good profit will genuinely be the FA Cup. Now I don't think the FA Cup is going to be on here as of yet. I'm going to have a quick search just in case it is. But obviously the third round of the FA Cup was drawn the other day. And you can see here at the moment it doesn't look as though the FA Cup is out there on the markets yet. I'm not sure how long it takes before the games get added. But the third round has already been drawn. And let's just actually go take a look at this and show you the third round as it stands. But you can anticipate some good rotation put in there. And if we actually have a look at the FA Cup rounds coming up, you can see Liverpool versus Shrewsbury. Now, as the lineup comes out for that, or as it gets closer to that date, there will definitely be opportunities where Jurgen Klopp is going to say he's going to rotate for that game. And you can 100% understand why. And as he announces more about the squad that's going to be available, there will be changes in the market odds, and that is key to look at. I think when the market opens for this game, Liverpool will be clear favourites, and I think the easy way to get around that would be to lay Liverpool and then wait for the news about the lineup, and you'll be able to get profit over a few months, I think, with that game pretty comfortably. I think it'll be a very similar story with Chelsea, Chesterfield, City, Swindon. I think probably a little bit less with these two because their rotation teams are still incredible. Liverpool, if they rotate as much as Jurgen Klopp likes to, will literally have 12-year-olds on the pitch, so that probably won't go too well. So that is a good opportunity there to get some profit. There's also profit opportunities there with teams like West Ham and Leeds. If Leeds are going at it with their full lineup and West Ham decide to rotate quite a bit, you can understand where scenarios will come there where rotation and the price will change quite drastically. I'd say the key teams you need to be looking at for situations like this are teams where there are massive disparities between the squad, such as Liverpool and Shrewsbury, or teams where they are very similar, such as Leicester and Watford. Because I think when you've got two big teams like Leicester and Watford, one might take it a lot more seriously than the other. And if that's the case, the odds are going to change drastically. Whereas with Liverpool and Shrewsbury, it's fairly obvious what's going to happen. It's just about whether or not when the market opens up at the opening price, if you think Liverpool are going to drop their odds a little bit once the lineup gets announced, and how much you think they're going to rotate as well. Key things you can keep an eye on to really boost your chances of getting a pre-match trade and getting some pre-match profit. Press conferences are always a good one. Obviously, looking at the lineup when that gets announced is just a guaranteed way to try and get some profit, but by then it might be a little bit too late. Another good aspect is actually looking at the under-23s lineups. Now, under-23 games happen extremely regularly, as you'd anticipate. And what happened a few years ago with Liverpool was they were about to prepare for an FA Cup third round game. Jurgen Klopp said he was going to rotate, but no one knew how much. And in the morning of that game, so at 12:30, Liverpool had a youth game kickoff, an under-23s game, and they basically had none of their regular starters in that under-23s. The whole under-23s team pretty much was changed. And that there obviously already prepares you to say, well, if the majority of them aren't playing in that game, it's because they're playing in another game. So if you can keep an eye on them, maybe it's just going to be useful for teams you know quite well, but scenarios like that will also increase or decrease the match odds. And if they don't, and you know that piece of information, you might be able to get in and exploit the market when no one else can. But that is it for pre-match trades. It's very simple. It's a bit more of a longevity one. It's going to take a bit longer than some other trades, but it's also a bit less risky than some others as well. It's definitely based on rumours and things like that, but sometimes they can be the best ones. Hopefully you've enjoyed. If you've got any recommendations for other videos you want me to try out or do, it could be anything. Mondays, we look at random sites and making profit. Wednesdays, we have So Rare. And Fridays, we have a bit of trading. Throw all the recommendations at me and I'll get it added to my list. But thank you for watching. I hope you'll be able to use this strategy. It's not going to happen a huge amount of times, but maybe once or twice a month you might be able to get some profit from it. And who doesn't like another trade in their bowl? But thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time.